and welcome back to the channel. Thanks again for joining me today. So I've recently been asked to put a video together on the driving test manoeuvres. So in this video we'll have a look at each of the manoeuvres separately and have a look at the objectives, what the examiner is looking at, and hopefully help you to worry less about your manoeuvre on your driving test. Okie dokie, here we go. So, driving test manoeuvres. You will be asked to carry out one manoeuvre from 4, which is the forward bay park, reverse bay park, the parallel park or reverse park on the road, and the park on the right and reverse back for 2 car lengths. I sometimes get asked whether or not the emergency stop is a manoeuvre, and it's not. It's just classed as an additional activity that you might be asked to do as part of your driving test. What I'll quickly mention about the reverse bay park is if your driving test centre does have its own dedicated car park, that might be something you'd be asked to do. If, however, your test centre is attached to another building and it doesn't have its own car park, then you will not be asked to do that particular manoeuvre. Okay, so in terms of what the expectations are when it comes to the manoeuvres and how you're going to get marked, it's quite obvious really when you think about it. First of all, observations. What observations do you carry out throughout the manoeuvre to make sure that you are doing it safely? So when it comes to observations, I'll talk about each individual manoeuvre and the importance of observations and when to look and where to look. And the second thing is you're going to get marked on is the control of the vehicle. So for me, the manoeuvre is an opportunity on your test to slow the pace down and to try to gather your thoughts for a minute. I do see students, and I've had some of my own students who rush the manoeuvre, and there's absolutely no need to. It's a great opportunity just to slow the pace of the test down, just to gather your thoughts and have a bit of a breather. Certainly when I'm teaching manoeuvres and when I do manoeuvres for the video, I'll only be using the clutch pedal, which allows the car to reverse slowly or to drive forward very slowly. So again, I want to buy myself some time so I can be more accurate with the manoeuvre. So in terms of the marking criteria under the control category, again, yes, you've got to make sure that you are under full control of the vehicle. But let's say you've asked to do the reverse bay park manoeuvre. If on your first attempt you didn't get and finish in between the 2 white lines, don't panic. You can just simply drive out, stop and reverse back in and fix it. So don't sit there thinking that you have to do your manoeuvres first time perfectly. You simply don't. Apply it to the real world and beyond, you passing your driving test. There's many occasions if I'm reversing into a bay that I'll have to go out and fix it because I'm not central in the bay and I want to make sure that I'm not getting too close to a parked car next to me. So I'm just going to drive out and come back in again. So don't panic and think you've got to do it first time perfectly. You don't. If you had to correct it and come back in again, yes, you would get marked down to the control category, but just take it. It's fine. Okay, so let's first of all have a look at the park on the right and reverse back 2 car length manoeuvre. So the park on the right manoeuvre and reverse back for 2 car lengths. It's an unusual manoeuvre in that you will be asked to do it whilst you're driving. So what I mean by that is you won't be able to pull up on the left, have a bit of a debrief about it and then asked to go do it. So as you're driving, the examiner will say to you, I'd like you to now park on the right in a safe place for me. So again, it's something perhaps just to expect. The roads the examiners tend to use are generally busier main roads. They won't deviate off into a housing estate, a quieter area, and ask you to do that. They will ask you to do it on a main road like we've got here in front of us at the moment. What you tend to find is that this particular manoeuvre will be avoided during busier times of the day. So for example, first thing in the morning, I know the first test in Wakefield 8:10, so the roads are generally busier. So when you're asked to drive away from the right hand side, if the road's busier, you'll be there perhaps for quite a long time. And I know I've had a couple of students who said after the test, I was waiting for quite a long time. So again, that might delay you getting back to the test centre. So just bear in mind that if it's a busier test time, you might not be asked to carry out that that particular manoeuvre. Also, before we have a look at this, just bear in mind that if, when asked to do it, something happens and the selection of the road that you are choosing isn't appropriate, the examiner will step in and abandon it and ask you to drive on, and you'll get that's the same manoeuvre somewhere else, or you might get a different manoeuvre. So okay, let's go have a look at the manoeuvre now in a bit more detail. Okay, so let's just prepare now for the park on the right. I'm just going to get myself ready to move off. Just get my biting point ready, having a good look around. It's safe, nothing around. Quick right blind spot check. And away I go, a little bit of gas on, and away I go. So this is a particular road here in Wakefield where it's quite common to get this manoeuvre. So I'm just going to get around this corner first of all and assess whether or not it's okay to do it. Now, as you can see, this is quite a nice straight bit of road, so it's a really good example of where the examiner might ask you to do it. So at this point, they'd say to you, I'd like to park on the right now in a safe place. So the first thing I'm doing is checking what's behind me. Is there anything I'm going to do affecting that? So again, nothing's there. I'm going to indicate, I'm checking my right mirror, one final check again, and I'm going to pull over. Quick right blind spot check. And I'm pulling it in. Now what I'm doing now is, I'm not worried about stopping straight away. I'm just going to let the car roll so that when I finish the manoeuvre, I'm in quite a nice straight position and I'm quite close to the curb. Once I've done that, handbrake on, I'm into neutral. Now one thing I do with my students at this point is just to get a reference point so they know where to stop the car. So like I did then, don't be afraid to stop it immediately. You don't want to kind of get yourself over and stop and then the back end sticking out. So you just want to make sure that once you've selected an appropriate place to pull up and stop, that you're just going to let the car roll a little bit further so that your finishing position is nice and close and parallel to the curb. A couple of things just to bear in mind. Again, with this manoeuvre, it's not a parking manoeuvre, so you're absolutely fine to block someone's driveway. Don't feel that you've got to kind of avoid that, so don't be afraid. For the short time that you are there, you can block someone's driveway. So once I've done that, again, the examiner would ask me to reverse back for approximately 2 car lengths in a straight line. So all I'm going to do now is go into my reverse gear. Now, like I said at the start of the video, I'm only ever going to use the clutch and the biting point to move this car during my manoeuvre. I'm not going to put any gas on whatsoever, so I'm just going to cover my brake, get my biting point and get the car prepared to move off. Now at this point, what I'm going to do is make sure that I am completely aware of my environment and my surroundings. So what I'm going to do now is a really good thorough observation check all around me. So I'm checking all the way over my left blind spot, working all the way around to my left mirror, my centre mirror. I'm looking ahead, checking my right mirror, and I'm checking my right blind spot. Nothing's there, so I'm absolutely fine to go. So what I'm going to do now is release the handbrake. Now the minute I move this car, I'm going to look out that back window. That's something that you absolutely must do on your driving test, is again to carry out some good observations, but the main thing is looking out of that back window. So I'm going to have a final check again because I've obviously waited a few seconds having a chat. So I'm going to check one more time, and again I'm wasting time. Don't be afraid just to take your time on your manoeuvre. So again, nothing's coming this way. I'm looking ahead, and I'm really slowly now moving the car. My clutch is very low. There's a car coming. I'm just going to stop. It's really important with this manoeuvre that if a car was to approach in either direction, that you were to stop completely. Now again, quick check again. Now ahead of me, I've got this white van coming. So again, I'm just going to have a moment. I'm going to wait. I'm not going to rush it. I'm not going to move the car. I'm just going to let the van get past me. Now, like I mentioned, behind me, I've got a lorry coming, and in front of me, I've got this other car. So I can't move. I'm literally just going to wait where I am. I'm not going to move the car. I'm going to let these cars get past me. And once they've got past me, I'm going to continue again. And again, I've just wasted a few minutes. It's fantastic. Now, that car from the back is a little bit further away, so I'm just going to make a little bit more of a distance. I'm going to wait again. Okay, this car's got past. One final check again. Looking ahead, nothing's coming, so I'm going to continue now to keep reversing. I'm also looking in my right mirror to make sure I know where my curb is. Looking ahead, backwards, looking ahead. Looking over my right blind spot, there's a drive behind me now, so I'm just going to check, make sure nothing's coming in or out of that driveway. Looking ahead again, looking backwards, checking my pavement, checking my driveway. Nothing's there. There's a car coming again, but that's roughly 2 car lengths now. So at that point, the examiner would say, "Thank you very much. I'd like to drive off when it's safe to do so." Now this Audi is looking to go into my drive, in their drive, so I'm just going to let him know what I'm doing. So I'm going to check my left shoulder, looking ahead, and I'm just going to really slowly do it. And keep checking around me. Nothing's there. I'm going to put a little bit of gas on, and away I go. One thing to bear in mind is if that car behind who was looking to get into their drive parked behind me, the examiner at that point would take over and just say to me, "Tell you what, continue on the route, don't worry about it, and we'll do another manoeuvre later on." So again, if the car was to park behind you, the examiner would step in and they would ask you to drive on. So that was the park on the right. Let's go now and have a look at the 2 bay parks, the forward and reverse. Okay, so reverse bay park. Now, you'll notice first of all that my starting point is roughly in the middle of this particular row, so I'm not too close to my left or too close to my right. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the left reverse manoeuvre first, and then we'll have a quick look at the right just to kind of show you how that differs. So again, it's like I mentioned with the park on the right, it's all clutch. It's very, very slow movement of the clutch, and then for very slow movement of the car. Again, I've got a reference point in my car that I share with my students, and no doubt you have a reference point in the car with your instructor. But roughly, it's the turning point for the reverse bay manoeuvre is roughly in the middle of my door or in line with my shoulder of the white line. So again, it does differ, so I'm not going to go too much into reference points. All I'm going to kind of do is show you how I kind of do it in my car. So again, I've just got the biting point ready, and you'll know, again, there's nobody in the car park, and no doubt there'll be nobody in the car park when you do it on the day of your test. It'll be very, very quiet in the car park. But what the examiner is marking you on is the day of your test, you can take your car into a public car park, and there could be loads of other people and pedestrians, so they want to see how you would then do it safely. So you must make sure that you've got that mindset that I'm going to do it as if it's a busy car park. So the first thing that I am going to do is have a quick sweep around the vehicle, and again, just make sure that I know what's around me, and there's not. Now the first thing that I'm going to do is, because I'm moving backwards, I'm going to look backwards and look out of that back window. So I'm just going to let go of the brake, just a little bit of biting point, and the minute I'm moving, I'm looking backwards. Now again, I just want a quick sweep round again, nothing's around, and I'm looking now for my reference point. So again, it's roughly in the middle of the door with the white line. Quick look round again. I'm just slowing things down. I'm just making the most of this opportunity to keep it slow, and that is roughly my reference point. Now what I'm doing now is I'm going to put a left lock on, which means the car will swing out to the right hand side. So in terms of observations, the right blind spot is the absolute key one. Again, not doing this would result probably in a fail of your test. So again, the minute I'm swinging to the right, I'm looking to see if anything there that I need to be aware of. So I'm looking it right, I'm looking over my right shoulder, nothing's there, so I'm okay to continue. And I'm going to just keep it nice and slow. I'm not going to rush into it. Quick look around again, and I'm using my mirror, my left mirror, to see where the white line is. Now it looks like I'm going to be okay. Again, I'll look around again, keeping it very slow. Now I've got a blind spot mirror in my left mirror, so it allows me to see where the left white line is very early. So if I need to correct it, I can. Still looking around again. Now what I'm doing now, I've got the luxury of a bay in front of me, so I'm going to just bring it around a little bit further and line myself up with the bay in front of me. Quick look around again, everything's looking all right. Now I'm roughly straight. I can see the white line in the left mirror is now straight, and it is in my right mirror. So all I'm going to do now is take the lock off, come back very slowly. I'm in between the lines, looking backwards again. Quick look back again, and I'm going to roughly line up the line in front of the bay underneath my right mirror so that I know that I'm not too far back, and that's roughly about there. Handbrake on, and that's the manoeuvre done. So this time I'm going to do the reverse bay park going to the right hand side bay. Again, my starting point is roughly in the middle of the row, and it's the same principle. Nice low car, nice low biting point, observations throughout. Again, my reference point will be different. It's going to be obviously on my side of the car this time, and obviously the car's going to swing to the left, so again the observations are going to be over that left hand side. So again, I have to quick check round, and the minute I'm moving backwards I'm going in that direction, so I'm looking in the direction I'm moving. Nothing's there, so I can really slowly now begin to bring the car back. Quick look around again. Again, absolutely no rush with this, I'm just taking my time. Looking for my reference point, it's not a million miles away now. Quick check round again. And my reference point is roughly there. Now this time I'm locking the wheel the way I'm going, so it's going to steer to the right, because I'm going to go right. So the car's now swinging out to the left. So the key thing now is to make sure I know what's over that side of the vehicle. And it's okay. Still need to be mindful of what's to this side too. So I'm going to continue to bring it round. Look around again. Now I'm looking in the left mirror and the left blind spot mirror, so I know where the white line is. It's looking okay. Quick look round again, and again I'm looking at the bays in front of me for a bit of a reference point, so I know when I'm straight, and I'm roughly straight about there. I can see the white line in the mirror to the left is straight, and the white line to the right mirror is also straight, and I'm just going to bring it back. Again, I'm going to place my left and right mirror under the white line so that I know where I need to be. And that's it. Now again, if I wasn't in between the two white lines, I'm not going to panic. All I'm going to do is this. And I'll show you what I would do. A quick look round again. I'm going to drive out and stop. I'm going to stop when I can see the white lines in my left and right mirror, so I know where I need to be. And all I'm going to do now is just reverse backwards. Again, I'm going backwards, so again I need to make sure I'm looking in that direction, and really slowly using my left and right mirror to make sure that I'm in between the two white lines. And I am. Quick look back again. And I'm going to get the white lines underneath my mirrors, and I know that's me in, I'm fine. Okay, so that's the 90-degree technique. Let's have a quick look now at the 45-degree technique. Again, something that you might want to use and look at with your instructor. Okay, so this time you notice that my starting point isn't straight in the row, it's at 45 degrees to the bays that I'm going to go into. So all I'm going to do now is select reverse gear, get my biting point, have a look round again, and start to reverse. Again, looking at the back window straight away. Now what I'm going to do now is start to lock the wheel to the right, because I'm going to the right hand side, and I'm using again my left mirror and my right mirror to work out where the bays are, the white lines are, and I'm roughly getting in. Looking backwards again. Now again I'm going to look at the bay in front of me, roughly work out when I'm going to be straight. So I'm not quite there yet, a little bit further round, and all I'm going to do now is I'm roughly in, I'm going to straighten the wheel and come back in a straight line. Again, using the white lines at the front of the bay with my wing mirrors, and it's roughly there, and I'm in. So again, you don't have to do it at 90 degrees, you can do it at 45. Let's show you the last way, and that's driving into the bay forwards and then reversing back out. So with this version of the reverse bay park, the first thing you notice is that I'm not in the centre of the row. I'm in the same position as if I'm going to do a right forward. I'm on the left hand side of the car park, because what I'm going to do first of all is just drive the car into the bay of my choice. So again, I'm just going to use my reference point. I will look at the reference points for the forward bay park in a minute, so I'm not going to go through that just now. I'm just going to again lock the wheel when I need to. Looking over my right shoulder, make sure it's safe to do it. And I'm going to stop the car when it's straight. All I'm going to do now is reverse backwards into the bay behind me, which I can do, so don't feel that you can't do this part of the manoeuvre. You can do. So again, I'm going backwards, so my key observation point is at the back window, and I'm going to keep the car moving very slow. Pull around again. Using my left and right wing mirror to see where the two white lines are. I know that I'm in. I can see in front. I'm roughly lined up with the bay in front. And again, I'm using my left and right mirror to line up with the white line at the front, and I know I'm in. So again, it's an alternative way to do the reverse bay park. You don't have to do it at 90 degrees. You don't have to do it at 45 degrees. You can, if you want, to drive into the bay and reverse back into the bay opposite. So again, another option for you to choose. So this is the forward bay park. Now the first thing that you notice is my position is to the left hand side, because I'm going to go for the right forward first. And again, you don't have to choose, the examiner won't choose for you. If you've got a particular preference, you can choose that way to drive in. So again, it's about my reference point. Now what I can say is that the reference point for the forward bay park is pretty much the same point on every car that I've ever been in. So all I'm going to do now again is find my reference point, and I'll show you where that is. So all I'm going to do is really slowly roll it forwards. Again, before I do it, I'm going to have a quick look around, make sure I know it's safe to do it, and I'm just going to roll it forward to get my reference point. Quick check around again. I'm looking now for my reference point. Now my reference point is, if again you're not too sure about it, is that my right mirror is lined up with the right hand side white line. And once it's lined up, all I'm going to do then is just very slowly lock it at that point. Looking over my right shoulder, if that's the danger area there. And again, I'm okay to go over the white line. Don't feel that you can't clip the white line going into it. You can. Bringing it round, I'm looking for the white line in that left mirror. I can see it's there. All I'm going to do is really slowly begin to roll it in. And that's it about there. Again, I'm going to use that same reference point so I know where to stop. So my left and right wing mirror is just underneath the white line of the bay in front of me. So this time we're going to do the left forward bay park. And again, all I'm going to do is keep it slow, find my reference point and lock the wheel the minute my left mirror lines up with the left line of the bay that I'm going into. So again, just a very quick look round again, make sure I know it's safe. Just very, very slow movement of the car, very low clutch, very low biting point. Now I'm looking now for my reference point. So again, roughly the left mirror lines up with the left line of the bay that I'm going into. Quick check round again. Now the minute it lines up, which is roughly about there, I'm locking it. Again, now the danger point this time is going to be at this side, the left hand side of the vehicle. Looking round again. Again, don't be afraid to clip the white line. I'm using the white lines of the bay in front, and I'm in. And I'm going to make sure that the left and right mirror lines up with the white lines of the bay. So finally, we've got the reverse park on the road, or the parallel park as it's more commonly known. The instructions the examiner will give you is to drive up to the side of the target vehicle that you're reversing around and reverse and park behind it. So again, they want to see you park and finish reasonably close to the curb, and so the instructions will be to complete the manoeuvre within 2 car lengths. So again, there's no expectations for you to do the manoeuvre in between 2 vehicles. Now again, with this one, it does sometimes worry some of my students in that there's a little bit more control, steering involved than the other manoeuvres. But again, if you break it down, you'll see it's not too bad. Again, you can fix it, so again, there's no expectations for you to do the manoeuvre first time. So if you found out you are coming into the curb, and if you and by keep coming backwards, so you're going to be on the pavement, you can stop, fix the vehicle, and then reverse back, which we'll have a look at. Also, if you are or you finish too wide from the curb, again, you can fix that by driving towards the target vehicle, stopping and then reversing backwards. So again, there's no expectations on you to do it first time. So let's have a go and look at how to do this manoeuvre. Okay, so my starting point is roughly a metre in between my car and the vehicle that I am looking to reverse round. Also, I'm going to stop the car roughly where my left wing mirror lines up with the front of that vehicle. All I'm going to do then is select reverse gear, get my biting point, very low biting point to get the car moving very slow, and start reversing back very slowly. Again, observations are absolutely key to this manoeuvre as well. So again, just a quick look round all the way. I'm then going to release my brake and move back very slowly. Now all I'm going to do now is reverse back until my wing mirrors line up with the vehicle that I'm going to reverse round. So now I'm about there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just steer the wheel just one revolution to the left. Now again, you might be told something different, your instructor might give you different instructions, but this is how I teach my students. So I'm going to steer just once left, which will then cause the car to flick out to the right hand side. So again, my key observation is my right blind spot. Not doing it would result in a fail. Now, the road I'm doing this on is too narrow. A car couldn't get past me. But if you were asked to do it on a road that's quite wide and it allowed cars or vans or whatever vehicles to get past you, just make sure that you stop the vehicle, that you are not flicking out to the right hand side and cars having to get wide around you. So again, just be observant for other road users. If anybody's around you, just stop the car completely, let them get past you. If they flash their lights, just make sure they're flashing at you, and if they are, again, just do it very slowly. Just keep your eye on what they're doing. So again, looking over my right shoulder and backwards again. Now again, quick look round again, keeping the car very, very slow. What I'm going to do now is line up my right mirror with the vehicle I'm reversing around's right brake light, which is roughly about there. What I'm now going to do is lock the wheel to the right, which obviously will cause the car to go towards the curb. Locked it completely right, and I'm looking over that way. There's a jogger, I'm just going to let him get past. Quick check on my right blind spot again. Looking in that left mirror, I want to know where that curb is. I want to make sure that I'm not going to go on the curb. Now I am. I'm going to go on the. If I continue now, reversing without fixing it, I'm going to go on the curb, and therefore it would cause a fail. So I'm going to go into first gear. I'm going to do a lot of left lock. I'm going to bring the front of the car right round, so I'm parallel with the curb. And once I am, I'm going to stop the car again, fix my wheel. So I'm going to go back to the right with my wheel, back in reverse gear, and I come back in a straight line. Looking backwards, I've got an eye on where my my curb is. I know that I'm not too wide. I know that I'm reasonably close to the curb, which is the instructions the examiner will give you. And I'm going to reverse back so that when I'm going to move away, I'm not too close to the target vehicle. And I'm going to stop about there so that when I do move off, it's easier for me to do it. So those are the 4 manoeuvres. Let's just recap some of the main points that we discussed. First of all, don't feel that whatever manoeuvre you get, there's a certain way you have to do it. Find your own particular method and the style that suits you. Secondly, don't feel that you have to accomplish the manoeuvre first time. You can fix it. So like we did then with a parallel park just then, I didn't get it sufficiently into the gap behind the car, so I had to stop, drive forward and come back again, and I can do that. Same with the reverse or forward bay park. Don't feel that if the car doesn't finish in between the white lines that you fail your test. You don't. You can simply drive out or reverse out and go back in again and have another attempt at it. When it comes to the bay manoeuvres, whether it's forwards or backwards. Again, the examiner shouldn't dictate which bay for you to reverse into or drive into. You should be able to choose which way to drive in or reverse in. So again, there's no pressure on you there. I think the manoeuvres are a really good opportunity as well for you to take a breather on your driving test. Have a moment, because there is no rush. The examiner wants to see you complete that manoeuvre safely with full, thorough observation throughout. So don't feel you've got to rush at it. Don't, take your time. Have a moment. With the parallel park or the park on the right and reverse back, if there's vehicles approaching, again, just completely stop the car. Don't reverse or continue to let the car swing out into the middle of the road if there's vehicles approaching from either direction. Again, with the parallel park, there was a jogger that was running past me earlier, so I just made sure that I stopped. I was aware that they were there. I let them run past and I continued. So again, I'm not reversing towards the curb or the pavement if there are pedestrians on it. So again, once you think about it, once you break it down with your instructor, they're not too bad. Again, you've got options. You don't have to do it in one method. You can take your time and just have a breather when it comes to your driving test. As always, any questions about any of the manoeuvres, anything you're not clear about, please feel free to drop me a comment below and I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can. But in the meantime, thanks again for watching. What would be fantastic, as always, is if you can subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon for notifications of future video releases. In the meantime, take care of yourself, have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.